Be strong. We are trying to find you. We will never stop. We are trying, honey. Hang on. And to the person who has taken Morgan from us, please just let her go. She has so much more to live and so much more to give. Please let her come back to her family. We need her. Yeah.
Morgan Dana Harrington, a 20-year-old student at Virginia Polytechnic Institute, vanished without a trace on October 17, 2009, under mysterious circumstances. The young woman unexpectedly left the long-awaited Metallica concert, much to the bewilderment of her family and friends. No one saw her again. The police, in their relentless pursuit, did everything possible to uncover any leads. Finally, after a year of fruitless searches, they stumbled upon something that provided a glimmer of hope. Morgan Harrington, a 20-year-old student, spent her free time at her parents' home in Fairfax, Virginia. She was preparing to meet her friends for the much-anticipated concert of her favorite band. For 3 years, Morgan lived in a rented apartment not far from her university, yet she regularly visited her parents' home, which was a 45-minute drive away twice a week. Morgan was a typical young girl who enjoyed various parties. The whole family helped Morgan get ready for the concert. Together, they picked an outfit that would be comfortable for dancing and, of course, look absolutely awesome. They chose a black t-shirt with the emblem of the Pantera band, a chic miniskirt, tights, and matching boots, all in black. They finished off the look with family jewelry and a black bag. The girl looked stunning at that moment, but according to her relatives, their daughter was a beauty in every way. Her father gifted her the ticket to the Metallica concert. For Morgan, it was the event of the year, and she did everything to persuade her father to buy her a ticket as soon as they went on sale. Afterward, it hung on the refrigerator for several months, awaiting its time. Morgan shared wonderful relations with her parents, Dan and Gil Harrington. For them, it was a splendid phase of life, seeing their daughter step into adulthood, where their relationship with her was on equal terms. Morgan Harrington was described as a vibrant personality, never dull, an attractive and sweet blonde with blue eyes who captivated everyone's attention. She was a third-year university student with dreams of becoming a teacher. Despite her strong sense of independence, like any other student, Morgan faced financial challenges. In those moments, the daughter relied on her father's support. On the Monday, the day after the concert, she was supposed to return to her parents, where her father planned to teach her financial literacy. At noon on October 17th, she said her goodbyes to the family and headed to Charlottesville to pick up her apartment neighbor Emmy and 2 more friends. Later that day, at around 2:30 p.m., Morgan called her father to let him know that Emmy was already with her, and they were heading to James Madison University with other companions. At 7 p.m., the John Paul Jones Arena was already packed with fans. The opening band had started their performance, and around 8:15 p.m., Morgan informed her friends that she was heading to the restroom. However, after 30 minutes passed with no sign of her return, her friend Sarah called her to find out where she was. Morgan explained that she had left the stadium grounds and couldn't get back in because she had lost her ticket. Since Sarah had her car keys, Morgan simply said she'd make her way home. Little did they know, this would be the final conversation between the 2 best friends. On Sunday, October 18, 2009, Dan Harrington enjoyed a tranquil autumn morning, anticipating his daughter's arrival to assist her with financial matters. Around 11 a.m., the police department called him, notifying that a bag with Morgan Harrington's identification had been found. Initially, Dan didn't give it much importance, thinking Morgan had simply lost it while getting into her car, and she was probably annoyed with herself. However, the girl's mother immediately sensed that something bad had happened to her daughter. The parents attempted to reach Morgan, but her phone was turned off. Worried, they began calling her friends. One of her friends phoned the parents and informed them that they hadn't seen Morgan almost from the beginning of the concert since she left the stadium. After the conversation, the missing girl's family immediately called the police. Investigators took the concerns of the Harrington family seriously and promptly initiated searches around the stadium premises. Another piece of evidence was discovered in the crowded parking lot. Morgan's phone, its battery conspicuously absent. This confirmed fears that something terrible might have happened to the young girl. There were still no traces of Morgan, and by the evening of October 18th, her family was deeply distressed. Meanwhile, for the police, the next step in the investigation, following conversations with the missing girl's family and friends, was to trace Morgan's every move on the night of her disappearance. At around 8 p.m., she stepped away to use the restroom, leaving her car keys behind, with no prearranged meetings after the concert. At 8:48 p.m., her friend called her, and she replied that she couldn't get back into the stadium, so they should go ahead without her, and she would find her way home on her own. In a venue like the John Paul Jones Arena, surveillance cameras were scattered everywhere, and investigators immediately began meticulously reviewing hours of footage frame by frame. Yet not a single video provided any clues about what might have happened to the 20-year-old student that night. Not a single, even 2-second frame with the girl was found. 2 days after Morgan's disappearance, the police turned to the media in an attempt to find any potential witnesses. In the first 3 or 4 days of the investigation, around 100 witnesses were interviewed. A decision was also made to mobilize various resources, from dogs to helicopters, to comb the entire area in search of any clues. However, after 2 days, aside from the previously discovered bag and mobile phone, nothing new was found. The 20-year-old student, Morgan Harrington, had been missing for 4 days, but her parents, Dan and Gil, refused to lose hope. Many decided to support the Harrington family, and within 2 days, $100,000 was raised, later offered as a reward for information that could help find Morgan. Metallica's vocalist, James Hetfield, personally called the girl's family, expressing serious concern about the situation. In addition, he offered an extra reward of $50,000 for information. The band also published an appeal to their fans, urging them to provide any concert videos that could assist the investigation. People actively helped, and finally, investigators started to receive some blurry footage of Morgan Harrington outside the stadium. Up until this point, there was no information about Morgan's behavior. Later, witnesses began testifying that the girl was behaving strangely. According to their words, Morgan's behavior outside the stadium was chaotic. Friends of the girl confirmed that she'd been drinking, but according to them, Morgan wasn't intoxicated. Some also mentioned a bruise under her chin, suggesting a fall or a hit. Additionally, a few witnesses shared that they had offered Morgan help, even a ticket to get inside, but for some reason, she declined. After reviewing all the testimonies, detectives gained a clearer understanding of Morgan's actions outside the stadium. This led them to Copley Road Bridge, precisely where, at 9:30 in the evening, witnesses observed the girl attempting to hitchhike, flagging down a passing car. This revelation puzzled Morgan's parents. It was uncharacteristic of her, as she had never done this before. However, the police speculated that she might have resorted to this desperate measure. Despite these speculations, nothing unusual was found on the bridge. The police continued to search the area around the University of Virginia campus, inspecting the entire tunnel system, scrutinizing the landfill, and exploring other places where the body could have ended up. They brought in more dogs and specialized equipment to ensure they hadn't overlooked anything, but these efforts proved unsuccessful. Days turned into weeks, and at some point, and eventually, the investigators had to prioritize whether to persist with the search or focus on other urgent responsibilities. According to the police department, they had searched all possible locations, and on December 16th, 8 weeks after 20-year-old Morgan Harrington disappeared, the search efforts came to an end. The decision to close the search left the Harrington family in despair, a sense of hopelessness. To ensure that Morgan's disappearance was not forgotten, they kept sharing their story in the media, hoping to keep Morgan's memory alive. The family hoped that the public interest in the case would exert pressure on the police, prompting them to resume the search. After some time, the girl's relatives learned that not only law enforcement, but also other entities were working on their daughter's case. The day after Morgan Harrington's disappearance, the weekly newspaper The Hook initiated its own investigation. Stuart Courtney, a reporter specializing in crimes against women, recognized the case's resonance and took it upon herself. During her investigation, Courtney attended a training for volunteers participating in the search. One woman shared crucial information. She had seen the girl on the night she disappeared, but no one from the police had contacted her. Norma Parsons stated that around 3:45 in the morning, she was delivering newspapers to the University of Virginia campus. As she approached the western part of a building, she spotted a tall, young blonde, accompanied by 3 men. They walked by, and she distinctly remembered the girl's outfit: a black jacket, a black miniskirt without stockings, and black boots. The next morning, Parsons saw a photograph of the missing girl on the front page of the local newspaper. She was confident that she had seen Morgan Harrington near the university. She promptly called the hotline and shared all the details, but the police didn't take her words seriously. In response, investigators claimed to have thoroughly examined the information provided by Mrs. Parsons. Recordings covering that section of the campus were reviewed multiple times. According to the police, they considered that this information might be useful if new details emerged. However, taking only the words into account, they deemed Mrs. Parsons' story unhelpful to the investigation. Reporter Stuart Courtney decided to check this information on her own. One of the students who was at the university at that time informed her that there was a wedding in one of the pavilions on that day. Based on this, it was possible that the woman saw guests leaving that place. Yet, Mrs. Parsons' story matched the narrative of another witness Courtney found. Another woman who attended the concert reported seeing 4 men with a blonde in black boots. The group passed by the eyewitness's car, and she wondered why they were leaving the stadium when the concert had not yet started. However, none of these stories were confirmed by surveillance footage. Consequently, the police couldn't be certain of their accuracy. Since Stewart's efforts did not lead to any breakthroughs in the case, she was forced to halt her investigation. On November 11, 2009, the police received a call. On Wednesday, around 3 in the afternoon, a T-shirt similar to the one the girl was wearing on the night of her disappearance was found. It was discovered by a student about 3 kilometers from the John Paul Jones Stadium. Investigators couldn't believe it had been there for long, as they had searched that area, but there it was, a fact. Human hair was found on it, and the T-shirt was immediately sent for analysis. Comparing this hair with the hair obtained from the Harrington family through DNA analysis, it was confirmed that the discovery indeed belonged to Morgan Harrington. This promising piece of information led the investigation into another dead end. No other evidence was found in this area. On the morning of January 26, 2010, approximately 16 kilometers from the John Paul Jones Arena, a farmer named David Bass rode his tractor to inspect the fence on his fields after a heavy snowfall. In a remote part of the farm, the man came across what he initially thought was a deer skeleton, but upon closer inspection, he noticed clothing and accessories. Investigators and forensic experts promptly arrived at the scene and began working on identifying the individual. After some time, representatives of the media contacted the Harrington family and informed them that their daughter might have been found. The unidentified body was sent to the laboratory, and 2 days later, the results of the DNA analysis were ready. In 2010, the girl's parents received horrifying news. The remains found on the farm belonged to Morgan Harrington. The location of Morgan on the farm, covering an area of over 3 square kilometers, was a crucial clue that could reveal something about the perpetrator. It was challenging to reach there, especially by car. Presumably, the person who committed the crime was familiar with this place. To reach the gate, one had to cross a stream and a fence. He or they probably knew the way and were confident they could get there unnoticed. With this new information, the police reopened the investigation into this case. In July 2010, thanks to information from the database and physical evidence, investigators were able to link the Harrington case to a kidnapping in Fairfax County in 2005. In the database, the suspect was listed as unknown, but unlike Morgan Harrington, the victim of the Fairfax attack survived. On September 24, 2005, at 10 p.m., as the young woman was returning home from the store, an unknown man attacked her and dragged her into a nearby public pool. The assailant began to torment the victim, but ultimately fled as he was frightened by passers-by. The young woman resisted strongly, and as a result, the police were able to obtain the DNA of the attacker. 5 years later, a DNA match connected the unsolved case from the past to the disappearance of 20-year-old student Morgan Harrington. A composite sketch was created based on the description provided by the survivor, but despite this, the investigation did not lead to any results over the next few years. In September 2014, 18-year-old University of Virginia student Hannah Graham went missing without a trace. This evening, the girl was planning to attend a party with friends, but ended up at another party. Subsequently, witnesses saw Hannah in an intoxicated state at Tempo Cafe, where she was hugging a local 32-year-old man, Jesse Matthew. Later, near the same cafe, they were seen by an orange Chrysler Sebring. Witnesses claimed that the couple was arguing heavily, after which the girl got into the car, and that was the last time she was seen alive. On September 21st, searches were conducted at Jesse Matthews' apartment, where a pair of shorts were taken for DNA analysis, which provided positive results in the Hannah case. 2 days later, the man was accused of kidnapping, and the DNA analysis results also confirmed his involvement in the 2005 assault on the girl. Furthermore, after 6 days, based on forensic findings, the case of Morgan Harrington was added to the 2 existing cases. On October 18, 2014, Hannah Graham's remains were found in an abandoned house in Albemarle County, exactly 8 kilometers from where Morgan Harrington was discovered. On March 2, 2016, after Jesse Matthew pleaded guilty to all 3 incidents, the judge sentenced him to 4 consecutive life terms. The Harrington family dedicated their lives to Morgan, and the only thing they can do at this point is engage in positive actions in honor of their beloved daughter's memory. The medical school at Virginia Tech, where Morgan studied, established a scholarship in her name. Additionally, Morgan's relatives unveiled a monument in her honor near the church in Roanoke, Virginia. Despite the dreadful snowstorm, over 500 people came to honor her memory.